And in order to do that, we are going to cut the back hem at an angle from the scribe mark towards the edge of the letter edge. Peel back and remove the second thickness of hem. And then on the front hem, where the plex letter is going to be attached, glued, we cut into the front hem into the letter about 3/4 of an inch, and then remove that portion of the letter edge. On the opposite end, we'll remove the foam, about 3/4 inch of foam, and open up the back hem with a knife. And then at this point, we're ready to do the filing. Now these points that come together at the ends are going to meet in an outside corner, in an outside miter. So what we're going to do is file a 45-degree miter on both of those hems. The rest of the outside breaks, or the bend ups, we're going to use our square file, using the point of the square file, putting it right on the scribed mark, draw the file back, and then file the notch down to the butyrate, but no deeper. We never filed reverse breaks, but we'll file point number 2 and point number 1. And now we're ready to actually make the breaks using the easy break. Okay, so that's the hand measuring procedure. What we're going to do now is show you the very same thing, only we're going to use the paper pattern that the pattern printer generates. And it's the same thing. We'll pull out a section of letter edge to match the length of the letter that we're going to build, and we're going to attach the paper pattern to the letter edge. Now the neat thing about the paper pattern is that it gives you the bending instructions right on the stroke. Bend up, these are arc points, arc up, bend down, and this is bend up, and here's the end of the stroke. So the same thing here, we're going to use the square and scribe and separate the portion of the metal that we're using for this letter from the rest of the coil. And now we'll do the same thing that we did on the hand measuring, is scribe all of the points off. Okay, at this point we're ready to use the easy break to perform the bending operations. Okay, so the next operation is to actually perform the bend up and bend downs using the easy break. And the tab is made by putting the scribed line just on the outside of the male die, and then using the foot control to apply the power, and then use your free hands to help the material through the break. The notch that we've created on the letter edge front hem can be slid down the face of the male die, and then use the brake to make the bend. Now the brake will always bend at this same angle. If the letter requires more or less of an angle, the material is hand formable. And that's one of the beauties of the letter edge system, is that you can change that simply by hand forming it. The reverse brake, which is the bend down, the material is going to be bent down. There are several ways to make it, that reverse brake. One of the easiest ways is to simply lay the metal on the table and align your scribe mark with the face of the die. And then the outside brake here. So at this point we have this much of the letter built, and the next step would be to do the rolling. I want to show you the pattern printer layout is going to be the same thing. We'll achieve the same result. So the next step is to actually put the roll in, and we're going to use the roller for that step.
Go ahead.
Okay, the rolling procedure for the arcs. This is an arc up because the material is going to be bent around the outside of the letter, so that's an arc up. We use the roller. We have the beginning and ending of the material marked of that arc, whether we're using the paper pattern or whether we're using the hand measuring. And to perform the roll, we're going to position the beginning of the curve, the arc, against the roller and actually roll the letter edge, and then ending at the point where we have indicated to be the end of the roll. Same thing with the paper pattern. We have the beginning and ending of the arc, of the outside arc, and it performs the same way. Now, this one roller can be used for outside or inside curves. It can be used for making a large arc, such as this, or you can, depending on the pressure you use on it, make a curve down to the 2-inch radius. For smaller radiuses, we have slip-on sleeves that will make a smaller radius. But the idea of the letter edge is to actually use the roller to roll the material. And you can use this roll to make nearly any shape that is required on the Plex letter that you're building. So now, since we have the shape of the letter edge that's going to mimic the shape of the letter, the next thing to do is to take a file and just take off the sharpness of the outside corners. And this is important because if we don't do that, the Plex letter will dig into that plastic butyrate and will not allow the Plex letter to slide all the way down against the front hem. And so we have performed that, and now the next thing is we're going to remove the mask off the face and the back. To jig the letter, we'll try to use as many of the straight sides as possible to our advantage. And so we're going to put a row of pegs on this stroke and on this stroke. And we measured the letter face up, but when we're building the letter, when we're actually going to glue the letter, we're going to put the letter face down. And then we're going to insert the Plex letter into the letter edge shape and fit it up against the row of pegs that we have put into the letter edge into the letter shop table. The next thing is to use the pegs and wedges to secure the letter while it's being jigged, so that we have a nice tight fit between the Plex and the letter edge. Okay, so we have the letter jigged so that it has a nice tight fit all the way around the letter. And at this point we're ready to do the gluing. Okay, so once we have the perimeter jigged so that it will be a nice tight fit, the next thing to do is to use the hammer and just make sure that the Plex letter fits down securely against the front hem of the letter edge before it's glued. Then the gluing process, number 4 weld-on solvent cement designed to be used with acrylic. First is the number 4, and it's applied all around the perimeter of the letter. And that takes about a minute to dry. And then we follow with number 16 weld-on. The number 4 glues, welds the edge of the Plex letter to the butyrate bonding strip in the letter edge, and the number 16 joins the back surface of that Plex letter to the butyrate bonding strip of the letter edge.
You're on.
Okay. After the glue has dried, it takes approximately 45 minutes, depending on temperature and humidity, for the number 16 to dry. The next step is to drill and pop rivet the tab joint, and we're using an 1/8 inch bit. And for the 5-inch width material, we're going to put 3 rivets . Again, these are 1/8 inch pop rivets. After the pop riveting has been performed, the next step is to take the back and attach L-clips. Now the backing material, this is Alumicor, 10 millimeter Alumicor. Backs can be used, any of the backs that are found in the sign accessory manual for North America can be used. We like Alumicor and or Alumilite, and they can, the backing material can either be the 10 millimeter, which is about 3/8 of an inch, or the 15 millimeter, which is about 1/2 an inch. The backing material can be cut, and then you have the same shape as the face. Then we use L-shaped clips for every point where the screw is going to be used to join the face and the back. So the L-clip on the Alumicor at one point is through bolted, and the reason for that is that the Alumicor has 2 surfaces of aluminum separated by a plastic, and so to bond those 2 surfaces together, we through bolt the L-clip to that. Once that is performed, then we fit the back into the letter shape, and at this point you can notice where the letter might need some final hand forming, and I see that at this point I can use my thumb and put in the curve that's required for the letter, and when you're satisfied with that, then mark the position of the L-clip on the letter